Epolikako, let us pray. Maka hinoa no ukamakua, me ke keiki, me ka uhane hemolele, mahalo ne mako i aho. Noko malama ya ene ka mako laki. E ho o mahala mai ka mako halawai, me ka na au mai kalane, a me ka ho'opo mai kai. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, blessed be thy name. We thank you for all of your blessings, and humbly, we ask your blessing on this gathering. We come before you this day to honor the members of the class of 1968 of Punahou, who are no longer with us. Surely they now are with you, smiling down upon us with gratitude and love for all of those who have come to honor their lives. Father, humbly we ask your blessing upon their souls for all eternity. We also ask your blessing upon all the members of the class of 1968 and friends and family who have come here to remember those who have passed before us. Let their memory remind us of the love and the laughter and goodness and how precious was their lives. Let their memory remind us how precious is the life you have given us and how wonderful is this family of our graduating class. Let their memory motivate us to live our lives in a way that is worthy of those who have gone before us, and in a way that we take care of each other in this family, and in a way that is pleasing in thine eyes. And finally, humbly, we ask for your blessing and protection for all of us, for many of us have traveled great distances to be here. And we ask your blessing to continue throughout our lives here on earth and in the life to come, now and forevermore. Those things we pray, no ka mea, no ke apuni a me ka mana, a me ka ho'onani ia a malo atu. Amen. Amen.
We have gathered here at First Memorial Chapel, the spiritual heart of Punahou, to remember and reflect on classmates we have lost in the 50 years since our graduation. This building rises up in Punahou's famed Lily Pond, the primary benefactor of our 50th Union class gift, formed from the natural spring of Punahou that bore the name of the lands of the school. The Lily Pond teems with life and flows both next to and under these chapel walls. The Hawaiian place for being centered is Pico, the navel, which also means the center. In this respect, it refers to that point from which, towards which, and around which everything else moves. Literally and figuratively, the navel represents our connection to the source of life. Symbolically then, the navel is the direct conduit to the source itself. And to be centered in the navel is to be centered in the source. In Hawaiian culture, the Pico is the center for the heart, mind, and feelings. I can think of no better place for this afternoon's memorial service. There is something about this place and this school that embraced us, gave us support, gave us encouragement, and allowed us to grow and prosper. We come together this afternoon to acknowledge the loss of classmates who we may remember and possibly didn't know. After all, it was a big class. When somebody that has touched our lives dies, family and friends gather with sorrow in their hearts. At times when we must face death and loss, we need one another's company for understanding and support. Just to be together, to look into one another's faces, takes away some of our loneliness and draws our hearts together in the healing we can offer one another. At such times, the various faiths that sustain us separately come together in harmony that acts across all creeds and assures us the permanence of human goodness and hope. We have gathered here today in grief and sorrow, but we have also gathered to celebrate life. We have come together to give thanks that we knew these individuals, to express our gratitude for the days and years we were able to share with them. We're here to remember and memorialize their lives. We're here for all these things, but our first spiritual task is to face, full and unafraid, the reality of their death and the grief and loss we feel. So many things have happened since they were called away. So many things to share with them, had they been left to stay. And now, on this reunion day, memories do come our way. Though absent, they are ever near, still missed, remembered, and always dear. Please join with me the reading of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I have nothing. Now that we have your voices warmed up, please join us in the singing of all three verses of Amazing Grace, followed by the King's Prayer. As we wait for David to cue us in, lay presenters, please proceed to the rear of the chapel.
Sparovich.
Kathy Ladd.
Dean McDonald, Jr.
Cole McFarland.
Margaret Margie Mitchell Ducor.
Not one deed meant unkind, or one thought uncouth, in the beautiful days of my youth. But time quickly passed, the years traveled on, the hopes and the dreams have diminished and gone. Now the child that I face, how familiar he seems. He's wearing my eyes, and he's living my dreams. O my innocent child, I will spare thee of truth. In the magical days, the sweet candy days, the beautiful days of your youth. There was not a dry eye leaving Dillingham Hall the day Kamehameha alum and Roosevelt graduate Huey Lee shared with us his songs of well-chosen words, just weeks before he was taken from us. Do you remember? It remains one of the beautiful days of my youth. There may not be a better word to describe how I feel as I think about classmates who have passed away than that of diminished. Certainly, we are diminished in number as a class. To lose a peer and a classmate is to lose a little of ourselves. In the words of Francois Mercuriac, no love, no friendship can cross path of our destiny without leaving a mark on it forever. It is my honor to be asked to speak this afternoon at this special occasion as we come together to remember our classmates who have left us far too soon and unexpectedly. It is one thing to speak at a memorial service for a person much older, even one of our parents or grandparents, who many of us have lost, seems somehow easier to talk about than memorializing our peers, our friends and classmates. You and I are forever connected by a common experience. We went to school together. Many of us attended the same elementary school, the same junior high, and all of us were part of Punahou's graduation class of 1968. Many of us this year, 68 years old. Nothing will ever take that away from us. We began this journey together, and as the theme of this week represents, we are continuing the journey. This is exactly what reunions do. They celebrate life. Here we are, alive, living in perhaps different parts of the world, but alive. And we share a common experience. We were classmates. God, in His infinite wisdom, designed our lives to intersect in a particular time and place. And nothing will ever take that away from us. Many of our classmates, people remember the hallways and courtyards and practice fields, and all the places where we lived our youth together are gone. So, as we remember them, we celebrate their shortened lives. We should celebrate our life, because we know it does not last forever. Perhaps no generation before or since ours has looked upon themselves with such a sense of permanency. We were the baby boomers, going to change the world, make love and not war. We would have seasons in the sun forever. I have often thought that the educators in our lives that we owe so much failed to teach us one thing: our lives do not go on forever. So where does that leave us? Are we to give up as we embrace the reality of growing older? Are we to be depressed or despondent over our morality? Absolutely not. What we should do is what we know how to do perhaps better than any other generation ever: live. And let's live now. Let us really continue the journey. You know, if we are anything, we are survivors. I think our memorial of our fallen classmates needs to be done in such a way that we reflect upon our own lives. And when we think about us, we have to agree we are survivors. Think about it. Playing football in the streets, riding bikes all over town without helmets, secondhand smoke, bullies, black and white television without a remote control, telephones with cords, drinking water out of the garden hose. We even survived spin the bottle. But on a more serious note, we survived even more than that. We survived the Vietnam War and Desert Storm. We survived earthquakes, tornadoes, and 9/11. For many of us, there have been survival of failed marriages, broken relationships, and broken promises. Many of us have survived raising children, and some of us have had to survive the heartbreak of burying them. We have survived incredible wealth and spectacular failures. We have survived unemployment and personal illness. We survived. Brothers and sisters, classmates of 1968, here we are, survivors. I believe if we could talk to the classmates who we are memorializing today, they would say something like, enjoy the time you have. You may not have tomorrow. Live the moment, continue the journey. How blessed we are to be able to hold our children and grandchildren. Perhaps tell our parents how much they mean to us. Embrace a friend, love thy neighbor, forgive an enemy. That's what we are left to do. That, I believe, would be the message of our deceased classmates. Do you remember how we would make plans to meet up with each other at different places when we were at school together? We would say, hey, meet you at Chink's store, or see you at Sandy Beach, or party at Mossman's. We always had a plan and a place to meet with each other. As I close, I would like to share with you a story I heard. It's about a father and his family, and they waited and decided to say goodbye to one another rather than to say the words goodbye if they were ever separated by any period of time. As we continue to enjoy our reunion this weekend, we realize that our numbers will continue to dwindle, and that there is no guarantee that we will see each other again. It was in that spirit that this family had decided, rather than to say the words goodbye when they parted company, the father would say, I'll see you just inside, and his children and wife would respond, the Middle Eastern Gate. In the Bible, heaven is described as having 4 walls and 3 gates on each. The family realized that if they were to be separated by death, they would have to have a plan to meet up again in heaven, just inside the Middle Eastern gate. The father would say, "I'll meet you just inside," and the others would respond, "The Middle Eastern gate." As we leave here today, let us do so remembering life is not permanent. And since there is no guarantee about our next reunion, let's enjoy the time we have and continue the journey as long as God allows. And after our time is done, let's not say goodbye, but "I'll meet you just inside." Where? The Middle Eastern gate. That's it. See you there. Aloha. Please join me in the saying of the Our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. For our benediction today, I'd like to share with you a poem by Linda Ellis. It's entitled "The Dash." I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came her date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For the dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now, only those who love her knows what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about it long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we could just treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Please join hands in the singing, please stand and join hands in the singing of polite love, followed by a moment of silence.
Oh
proceed to the President's reception. A shuttle bus is available for those who need transportation. We'll see you there.